Yes, especially on your contracts. I mean, there's certain language in contracts that give you flexibility in what you use. I mean, you get if it's cold out, you use more. If it's warm out, you use less. You could be penalized for that if the contract isn't written correctly. So my biggest concern to start with, do you have a plan? Is how is your contracts written? And we want to put more risk on the supplier and give you more flexibility versus the supplier coming to you and giving you the least amount of flexibility that you can. That's one thing. The second thing, which Chris can expand upon on the electric side, is when you try to construct an electric cost, there's the cost of energy plus a bunch of little ancillary charges to get there, and there's a lot of ways to adjust that price accordingly to make the price look a lot better than it really is and pass through those charges at the back end of the bill. So just kind of like those fine print in the commercials, when you get like a Medicare commercial, there's a little fine print at the bottom that you can't read. It goes like a few seconds. That's what you got to look for, because there's a lot of little things in there that can end up costing you a lot of money at the end of the day. And as I've worked for a lot of big energy companies, and they want that. They want those little terms and conditions in that so that they're not taking on any risk. And our goal and our job is to try to get you in a better bargaining position with these suppliers.
Yeah, and one thing that I see the most, especially, and this is the most common. Okay, so if somebody's watching this, these extra costs are being passed through. So let's simulate a company. They go to their mailbox or their PO box, any company. They pick up their utility bills. They're going through the process through accounts payable to pay these and review, and then get them signed off. Could be by the management controller. It goes to the owner or the VP. Or final sign off. Then funds are dispersed. On the gas bill, this is the one I see the most on the natural gas, is they're putting the price on the invoice, and then there's a bunch of little charges on there they don't understand. Okay, that's because they didn't set up the agreement to begin with. Like last year, there was a weather event, and when it gets hot or cold, and a lot of stuff was passed through, that could have all been avoided. On the electric, like Anthony talked about, what they do is they'll do the generation only cost for that area, and then all the government regulations, state, local, federal, and for transportation and for generating the power, they get passed through to the local utility. So they're only focused on the supply, but you've got to remember that there's distribution with the utility. There's either pipeline transportation and or federal transportation of electricity to where it connects into the local utility where they receive the energy. There's all these little tolls and charges to get it there. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of energy sometimes travels a little 300 miles or more to even get to the area from its source. Natural gas, if let's say you're in the Midwest, it will come from the Gulf of Mexico. Right here, we're sitting in the Appalachian Basin right now today. This is one of the world's largest natural gas basins of supply right here. And this building was built by that industry. Okay. So if they don't know that exists, and they'll call it maybe a broker for an example. Oh, we see this the most. Oh, my broker promised me this is the lowest price. Well, they're working on commission. And their job is to make sure you have that product for the big energy companies. Big energy companies want you to have that product because they make the most money and they have very little risk, if any. So it's just knowing how to catch that. We have those abilities to catch that. So if they call us and say, will you take a look at this? I can actually go back and find out by the penny, by the line on them, where their money is actually going to. And then if we find something, which we normally do about 80% of the time or more, then we can identify it and then begin to try to eliminate that. And if possible, renegotiate their agreement with the people that did that. I don't care if it's a utility, maybe there's a different product code out there they can use and apply for immediately, which is very common on natural gas and electricity, or there's something else out there that they can utilize to their benefit, but they're not going to talk about it. Nobody's going to talk about it. One of the few companies that will, because one of the older, it's our benefit. We look out for the benefit of our client. And call us toll free at 877-505-3333. 3851. We answer the phone 24 hours a day, except for holidays, in which the stock market is closed. We're closed on Sundays, of course.